Iron Spider teases a potential future champion. Kabam makes some mistakes, and is Cull Obsidian really broken? Click in the pinned comment to the time codes of the stories that you want to watch, and as always, remember to come back each and every day for fresh content on the channel. But let's get into the Marvel Contest of Champions news for Friday. Hit the like button and the subscribe button. Thank you. First story, and shout out to Fantastic, because he decided that he was going to follow the story of this month's Phantasmagorium, and there's loads of it on like pop culture references, of course, with Deadpool having a little bit of a kind of a dig, as he usually does. Even Kabam have taken a Michael out of themselves by posting like this in the different texts. And it is sad that there's not a transcript of stuff that I can read and kind of do a dialogue thing myself, just to turn it into like a video. But I asked a long time ago, I never got it, but it's a bit of a shame not to see more people getting interested with these stories, especially little gems like this. I do enjoy these things, but it's just I don't think in the player's interest to grind it. They want rewards. Not being rude, but we've got a rush culture, so it's all about getting these done. But praise and props to those that do spend time enjoying the stories. Sticking with stories, Phantasmagoria has its motion comic, which is actually pretty cool and gave us something that we did not expect. Yes, what you're going to see in a moment is the first tease of the Iron Spider. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. The wrong side. There, ladies and gentlemen, is the Iron Spider. Now, I've decided I'm going to leave that in. It was quite funny for a Friday. Come on. We've got to liven up, people. The fact is, it's amazing to see this. I hope this is a character for the future. Personally, I was a little bit kind of miffed that we haven't seen this version in a long time. Even with the release of certain films. Yeah, okay, Homecoming was a good point to put in Stark Enhanced Spidey. I do agree. Yes, by putting too many spider suits in, there are people that may be feeling that that's a bit too much. I could have took or left the stealth suit version, and maybe even would have been a better case to put this version in, or maybe even one that was applicable to Endgame, where it was more of a technical Iron Spider based on well, it had the legs. So however they could have done this, I really would have liked to have seen a version similar to this, but more than likely we'll get this at some point. Fingers crossed it is soon. There are a few things to mention with Phantasmagoria. Some fails at the beginning. When the event was put in, it was a case that we couldn't get into the second chapter. So I don't know what the deal is with that. Also, this is really annoying. I tried this this morning. I was just like, come on. And it's only when you like zoom in, you're just like really pressing, you're able to get to this particular tile, which, look, just a bit of an issue putting that red skull there. He's got a big red head, just kind of reduce it down a little bit. Also, you saw this when it went live. There's also a spelling mistake with Mysterio. It's like about having a day of me, because this is stuff I do. I make these kind of mistakes. I made a few mistakes in yesterday's videos as well, which I'm kind of peed off about. But still, the fact remains is, I'm not a big company. I'm not a big company that produces a game that goes out to millions of people. Oh look, 10 attempts at a 5-star. Sounds like good odds to me. Either way, I hope this isn't a thing that's going to happen for the rest of the month, little mistakes. I think a lot of this has actually been sorted out since the event has gone live, especially with the Chapter 2 being put in for the event for Phantasmagoria. A few other little things have been sorted out, and a few spelling mistakes have been rectified. So it does seem that has been sorted out. So yeah, it should be fine for the rest of the month. Also, for those smashing out objectives, do bear in mind this is your Spider-Verse list. Showcases all the heroes, all the symbiotes, and all the Sinister Six that are going to be in conjunction with doing this, which is really important, especially considering that I've got an objectives grind guide video coming out a little bit later on. You've got to understand that when you're doing things like arena, it's always good to have like a list going, okay, that one's part of it, that one's there. So all the symbiotes to remember, the Sinister Six to remember, and all the spider suits. So having those fresh in your mind does mean that you'll be able to smash out this Spider-Verse objectives and hopefully pick yourself up those lovely crystal shards, and as well getting those markers to get yourself into class trips. In other news, have you had any problems logging into iOS? Well, yesterday there was a big issue where people weren't able to log in, and if you're still experiencing any kind of issues, it is important to go through no game center. So if you're going into the settings and then going down to game center, make sure you turn it off and then log in through your Kabam account or Kabam login. When you're getting into the game, it just means that you'll bypass any kind of issues which are currently being seen. This seems to be all but completed and back to normal, but if you are still experiencing issues, this is the best workaround. Log in without the game center. This may have had a knock-on effect when it comes to the store, the in-game store where you can purchase units, and obviously with the July the 4th deals, it was quite important that for people that wanted to buy were able to buy. Now, this is what people were seeing. They were seeing their unit store basically missing of all the good stuff. Kabam Exhibit is like, well, you know, what type of device are you running? What kind of operating system? Those kind of general questions. And this is the point that things take a little bit of an odd turn. Some people were claiming that they were getting this notification for contest credits. So the scheme that we were talking about, the way that if you are constantly asking for refunds, therefore you've got part of this contest credit scheme, which basically means that you need to top it up or kind of show loyalty, those kind of things. But the fact is people were receiving this and they hadn't actually ever done any kind of refund, which is confusing a lot of people. This was then confirmed as being in conjunction with that particular issue. So again, same principle applies. Make sure you're logging out your game center to log into the game to see if things pop up. But if they don't, you're gonna have to wait until Apple has rectified it completely. Otherwise, you may be without that lovely July 4th deals. And now on to the most important story, and is Cull Obsidian broken? Now from this, you're gonna see the footage, you're gonna look at this and go, right, well, we need to really see what is going on. Is there something so substantial about this that basically means that, is it affecting his damage dealing? Is there something of great nerfness that we need to check into? Well, let's have a look. In Tartarsaur's words himself, he says, I noticed that during his first fight, my initial Thanos favor buff is paused while hitting the opponent. When I gain additional stacks after each fight, however, the stacked buffs are never paused while hitting the champ and just expire 10 seconds into every fight. Only the initial stack remains, so I can keep the one buff that gives me 10% damage increases as long as I stay aggressive, while the remaining 90% damage increase and other bonuses just goes to the wind after 10 seconds of every fight, regardless of what happens. So in a nutshell, this whole process does mean that it significantly reduces the damage output that Cull Obsidian can really have. It's been 7 days since we last had a response from Kabam Exhibit that basically said at this point that he was going to take it to the game team, but unfortunately we're still at a process of going, we don't know what is happening, and it's kind of sucky for those that look at the champion as a champion that they really want to take against content. Even Tartarsaur says that he was going to be taking this, it got a lot against things in Variant 2, and other people really enjoy the champions, so maybe they haven't noticed quite so much, because I don't think this particular forum post has been blowing up quite so much. Now over to Marvel Insider, where we've got new activities. Yes, we've got new activities for MCOC. Very strange, but at the same time, it's really cool to see these. Similar to the objectives in-game, well, we've got similar ones here. So playing against Spiderverse Champions, playing with Spiderverse Champions, in questing, and as well in Arena. They're here. It's not a huge amount of Marvel Insider points, but still, it's an added extra that's quite nice. If you're doing those objectives and smashing them out, then it's still a chunk that you can take from this. So what's that? 30,000 extra points if you're doing Marvel Insider. Obviously do bear in mind that they've got the beginner, normal and heroic for you to grind out as well. A couple of new rewards if you're interested in getting Mysterio as a 3-star and as well getting a chance at an ultimate crystal. Those are your Marvel Insider things that have improved or been newly added. And now on to our final bit of news, and for those, and there's still time to get a July 4th deal, there's some things that have really got to be pointed out. Obviously, I've got to point out an apology. From reading the comments of yesterday's kind of dissect of the July 4th deals, I did make one crucial mistake, and that is that I referenced the wrong deals. So the uncollected deals actually look like this, and the ones that I was referring to, I think were either Challenger or Conqueror ones. So my apologies there, that was a bit of a mistake from me. And obviously there's nothing really I can do to kind of change the video now, add extra bits in. I would have to down it and re-upload it again. So it just hassle. So please accept my apology, and here's the deal for the uncollected. But yeah, there's still a divide between what is an Uncollected and a Cavalier, and maybe that players do feel very strongly about this because there is a forum post which I referenced in yesterday's video and I will be talking about now. This discussion, I think, is going to come to a point that it's going to get very out of hand, especially because I feel that a lot of players that are Uncollected that just aren't there with Cavalier are really getting quite frustrated with seeing the level of divide, and as well people that are a lot lower. It does kind of again point to what I was saying in yesterday's video when I was talking about the idea of each title now has its own level of exclusivity around it, something that I think that Kabam are going down the route of creating that divide, which I guess some players that are really going to be stocking up the big spending, the whales, are going to actually really like. But for those that maybe are feeling they're kind of a little bit not there yet, it's going to be crappy. It's going to feel shitty that they're not able to get the decent stuff which everybody wants to get. And then it creates divide, and that's the problem, isn't it? When you create class divides, it's like in life where you've got your middle, upper class, working class, that kind of divide as well. People have resentment, and resentment comes from this. So I think that Kabam want to do this to issue in a new era, a new wave of kind of thinking around this, but at the same time, change isn't always accepted, and at the same time, they have to understand stakeholders. Regardless if you're a paying person or just a free-to-play person or just someone who doesn't really kind of care, they need to consider all other options first rather than thinking that, okay, this will be a good business-based decision. But you may not give a damn about what I've got to say, my opinion. You may have your own opinion, and that's cool. Have it in the comment section down below, or go to the forum post and have your say against the developer. That has been your Friday edition of Marvel Contest of Champions news. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed today's news, hit the like button, subscribe for more Marvel Contest of Champions based content. Do make sure to drop into a live stream, not today because I'm out with friends, but make sure to drop in on Saturdays, which will probably be a lot later. So yeah, look forward to seeing you there, and catch you in the next one. Bye bye for now.
Bruh.